in 2024, India experienced extreme weather events on 88% of days, causing over 3,400 deaths and also impacting 4 million hectares of crop. So, why are these extreme weather events becoming a near daily occurrence, and what do these alarming numbers mean for India? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to CSC's live chat. I'm Sukanya Nair, and I have with me today Rajit Sengupta from Down to Earth. And we are going to dive deep into an urgent and unsettling reality that is extreme events. So, Rajit, thank you so much for joining us. And is it your first time on the show?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Very glad to be here. Yeah.
So, Rajit, I think we'll start from the very beginning because there will be a lot of new viewers, and for the benefit of everybody, let's start at what exactly do we mean by extreme weather events, and generally, how is climate change making them more and more intense and frequent?
Fair enough. So, extreme weather events, the World Meteorological Organization defines it as unusual weather conditions that are rare for a particular location. So, location is important. So, places where it should not happen. And at the same time, at a different time of year or a time of year when it normally doesn't happen. What also is included within extreme weather events is also the intensity. If the intensity is also very high, even then it is called an extreme weather event. So basically, there are three parameters. It shouldn't be happening at a place, let's say a flash flood in Rajasthan, which is a desert area. The second is the timing. Like this year, we saw that there were a lot of rains that were happening in the first 3 months, which is usually not in the monsoon season. So the timing is another very important thing. And the third is how extreme it is or how intense it is. So those are the three things that are there. And what we have found in India particularly is the fact that it is warming and it's warming really fast. So one little bit of factoid is the fact that India has data from 1901. So we're talking about 123 years. So 10 of the warmest years in this 123 years has happened in the last 15 years alone. And 2024, as many of us would already know, was also the warmest year for India and also globally. So we are seeing that the world is heating up. So that brings us to the second part of the question. What is happening because of climate change? So what we know with absolute surety, what scientists have already established is the fact that it is becoming much more frequent. So the frequency is going up. What you basically talked about, a near daily event for India. That is something that we know, and that is a global phenomenon as well. What we are also seeing is that the spread is increasing. So it is becoming much more widespread. And what we are also seeing in some of the extreme weather events, they are also becoming much more intense. So it would not have been this intense. Like, for example, monsoons and a lot of rainfall is an annual occurrence for India. But in the recent years, we are seeing that it is becoming very erratic, because of which we are seeing high intensity rainfall for a brief period in time, and then a long spell of dry days. So what happens because of that is the frequency of flash floods, which is an extreme weather event, or floods in general, which is an extreme weather event, goes up substantially.
So recently, I mean, early this month, Kiran Pandey and you brought out a report, which is the State of India's Environment 2025 figures. Also, many congratulations on that.
Thanks a lot.
So, what were your key observations over the last couple of years? I mean, on extreme weather events and key findings from the report, if you have to say. And it'll be good for the benefit of everyone if you could tell us a little bit about the report as well.
Fair enough. So basically, what we do is every year we look at government data that has been released concerning the climate and allied sectors, let's say pollution, water, soil. So we look at the government numbers that have been released, and then we turn it into fact sheets, and we release it just one day before June 4th, June 5th on June 4th, World Environment Day. So what we found this year, so we did a rankings, and what is pertaining to extreme weather events is the fact that we looked at all the states and union territories on the basis of the environmental risks or environmental scope, where we looked at not only how healthy the forest covers are, we also looked at how much money is being spent on extreme weather events and adapting to extreme weather events, how much state governments are actually spending on it. We also looked at how many days we are experiencing extreme weather events. So we found that even the best states and union territories were not good enough. So that basically means on some of the parameters that we looked at, they were faltering. So that is one thing that we realized when we were releasing this book. I'll just go a little bit further behind. And so in 2022, we started looking at extreme weather events on a daily basis for India. So the idea was that there's a general idea that whenever we talk informally, we say that इस बार की गर्मी उतनी बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी थी या इतनी गर्म नहीं थी या इस बार की बारिश बहुत ज्यादा बारिश हुई है. So in 2022, Kiran Pandey, as you talked about, she is my senior colleague, and we decided that we should be able to count the number of days when India is experiencing extreme weather events, so that we actually have evidence of how serious the situation is. And we actually have numbers to back up the general idea that each one of us in India are experiencing. So since 2022, we started looking at it, and the matrix is again a number of days with extreme weather events. And we found that some part of India on almost every day is experiencing an extreme weather event, which could be the three things that WMO basically talks about, and a weather event that should not be happening at that point of the year, a weather event that usually does not occur in that part of this country, or a weather event that has caused a lot of loss and damage. So those are the three things that we've been looking at, and we found very similar kind of things in the way that the frequency is really, really high. So if we look at the numbers, so last year, so if you look at 2024, we saw that around 88% of the days, that is roughly 322 days out of 366 days last year, which was the leap year. So we have one extra day last year. 322 days of 366 days, some part of the country was experiencing extreme weather event. What we also found is the fact that 35 states out of 36 states and union territories had at least one day of extreme weather event, which basically tells us that all part of India is vulnerable to extreme weather events.
So the numbers, as we can clearly see, are quite stark and also worrying. So if you have to talk about, if we have to think about India on our everyday life, how would you say are the immediate and long-term impact of extreme weather?
Okay. So the immediate impact, so basically in the dashboard, we are also looking at three parameters in terms of loss and damage. One is the human deaths that are happening. So last year was the highest in the past 3 years. So roughly 3,400 people, or close to 3,500, 3,472 is the exact number. 3,472 people died because of extreme weather events last year. So that's an alarmingly high. So when you're consider it with that, the fact that 366 days, so you can actually see how many people every day on an average are dying because of extreme weather events. What we also looked at is the impact it has on agriculture. So we look at the crop area damage. So in crop area damage, we found that last year 4.07 million hectares, that's a substantial amount of land, they were affected because of extreme weather events. What we mean by affected is that they were not completely ravaged, but maybe in some parts because of hailstorms, which is one of the extreme weather events, the productivity actually went down. So they were affected because of some form of extreme weather event or the other. And we also look at animal deaths. So animal deaths are also alarmingly high. So the livestock deaths due to extreme weather events is also alarmingly high.
This will be immediate.
These are the immediate extreme weather event impacts that we're seeing. It has an impact on our everyday life. So one thing that we also look at is internal displacement. So this is a data set that is not generated by Down to Earth. It is generated by another agency called IDMC. So we looked at how many people were displaced because of because of extreme weather events. And last year, alarmingly high number of people. So it was the highest in the past 12 years. A number of people were internally displaced, which basically means that you could not stay in your house anymore because of extreme weather events. So that is basically so. The long-term impacts, as you were talking about, is basically that when there is an extreme weather event, it basically the development in that area, if it is a big extreme weather event like floods and all, can actually come down to zero. So you rebuild your life again.
Yeah. So can we say that we are not just dealing with extreme events and we are sort of moving to a climate emergency, or would it be too much to even put it out like that?
It definitely is. So extreme weather events affects each one of us in different ways, depending on which age group we are from, and depending on which geographical location we are from. A very personal experience that I realized last year. So I have a daughter; she is 8 years old. So last year in Delhi, roughly 1 month because of heat waves and then because of air pollution, schools were stopped or were done online. So it has a direct impact in the number of days she is going to school, in her education in the long run. And we are very fortunate because we have access to internet and all. But if you look at a substantial uh, amount of people who don't have access, for them education completely it's like 30 stalls for that period. And if they're directly impacted by an extreme weather event at the same time, let's say somebody's house is broken or partially broken, so it becomes a big challenge for them as well. So again, we in CSE we also interact with a lot of other kids across India, school kids across India, and they actually talk about different kinds of problems. So I know kids close to the coastal areas. In schools, they are now being, for the first time, being taught about how to create safety kits in case there is a cyclone event that happens. So something basic as, and kids are actually aware of it, things that we as grown-ups, we never thought about till the time we started working over here. So it comes to them naturally. And that is a long-term impact that I see. And that is most likely, by the way things are moving forward, will become more intense and more frequent as well.
Right. Okay. That is the stark reality. So I think that's all we have. Do you have any last words before we wrap it up that you would like to share?
So I think that the reality of things is that extreme weather events are happening in India, and given that phenomenon, it is time that we start talking about it in terms of better accountability. So one of the things that we talk about, which developed countries are slightly better at, is the fact that loss and damage. So we can't contain extreme weather events right now. In the long term, obviously, if we embrace green technologies, then there's mitigation happening. So in the long run, maybe we'll be able to contain it, let's say 20, 30, 40 years down the line. But right now, because of the mistakes that we've done in the past, our generations and previous generations, especially in the West, have done over the past, we are paying a price. So one major thing that we can possibly do is improve our loss and damage estimations. So insurance, loss and damage estimation, they are basically solutions that can, at least to some extent, soften the blow of an extreme weather event.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rajit, for breaking it all down in a very simple term so that everybody could understand. And if at all this conversation resonated with you, do get a copy of our report, State of India's Environment 2025 in Figures. It's available on our website. That's all. We'll be back soon with more conversation. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you.